So today's game three. Let's talk about this series. And honestly, I just think this series is not going well for Dallas. We all know this, but if we're being 1,000% honest, the way that these finals have played out is much more surprising than what I thought it was going to be. Firstly, I want to say shout out to Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday has kind of been timid for the entirety of these playoffs. And now that it got to the finals, he's kind of stepped up as the second man to Jaylen Brown, putting up incredible performances, putting up 26 points and 11 rebounds on 79% shooting. And honestly, I do think that Drew Holiday has been the best player not named Jaylen Brown in this series. I do think that Kristaps Porzingis' injury, which he just got, is going to be very intense because even though we do see the fact that these players are not very consistent, like we could see Kristaps Porzingis missing a lot of time. We could see a lot of the Celtics missing a lot of time. What we have seen throughout this finals is the fact that the Celtics are a well-oiled machine. What Brad Stevens has done throughout this series, especially with the fact that he has completely reshaped Celtics basketball to the point where Jason Tatum can go out there and run for 35 minutes and he's still winning these games, is honestly pretty spectacular. As we see, I do think that, and as it stands, Jaylen Brown is by far and away the Finals MVP. Him defensively has been the best player on his team. Offensively too, even though Drew Holiday, yes, he has been more efficient. I do think that what Jaylen Brown has done in being able to carry the torch and lead his team to success is something very important, especially with the absence of Tatum in terms of the scoring department. Tatum has been absolute ass this series, and I'm sorry to say it like that, but he's averaging 8.5 assists, which is his best statistic, then 10 rebounds, which is a great statistic, and then 17 points, which is terrible. And if we're being honest, Tatum in this series has only done something because he can pass the ball and because he's getting assists. But honestly, I don't think that this series should go and should favor Tatum being the Finals MVP. Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown deserve it more than him. They're both scoring more. They're both rebounding greatly. They're both assisting greatly. But more importantly, those two guys are defending the best two guys on the court at all times. Drew Holiday and Jaylen Brown throughout this series have been tasked to guard Kyrie and Luka. And what Jaylen Brown has done to Kyrie is honestly one of the most surprising things that I've seen in a while. He's put him on absolute clamps. And the way that Kyrie has just not become a factor in this series because of Jaylen Brown is one of the things that should be awarded and should be considered for Finals MVP territory. I do think Tatum should focus more on what he's been doing. They're winning games with him passing, and if you're not effective somewhere, it's better to be effective elsewhere than just to not be effective. And I do think that the surgence of Kristaps has helped a lot, especially with their efficiency and their two-point conversion. For Dallas, they've been absolute ass. The only players which have been actually decently or at least good have been Luka Doncic, PJ Washington, and Daniel Gafford. PJ Washington, because him from the field, he's been very effective, even though from three he's been trash. He's averaging 15 points and 7 rebounds, and even though you wouldn't expect him to be that effective, or you wouldn't expect him to be considered one of the better players in this series, I do think that he is because he's just been playing very well. And especially with the way that Dallas has gone out in these past few games, he's actually been one of the guys who has been able to keep his head high and be great. Then we have Luka, obviously. which is the best player and should probably get Finals MVP over everybody and like a Jerry West. He's been averaging 31 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists with 3 steals and putting basically his all out there. I don't think that the problem for the Mavericks is Luka. I think he's actually been the player who has been able to put them over. And when they're winning in the games, it's because of Luka. Now, what does that leave for the other star, Kyrie? Kyrie has been ass, and very bad. And I mean that in the most sincere way. He's been trash. Kyrie has been not made a single three-pointer this series. A single one. He has not made even 40% of the shots that he's took this series. He's playing like trash. And I believe that this is because the Celtics are in his head. I feel like he spoke too much, and I feel like mentally he was just not letting the Celtics go. In this moment right now, he's been one of the better players in the team for the entirety of these playoffs. But now that we see him in a real high pressure situation in the finals competing, he can't even step up. I hope today he actually has the chance to step up, to be able to put himself in that category where he can actually win some games and where he can actually be effective with the way that he's playing. Because let's face it, the only people who have been effective this series for Dallas are Jaden Hardy, right? Derek Lively, which has barely played, by the way, and I don't understand why, because he's amazing. PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford, and Luka Doncic. And 3 of the 5 guys which I just named are not averaging, 3 of the 5 guys are averaging more than 10 points, but 2 of those guys are not. The rest of the other 3 guys, which are Kyrie Irving, Derrick Jones Jr., and Josh Green, which are other guys which get a good amount of minutes, are not doing anything. Like Jaden Hardy, in 6.5 minutes played per game, has 6.5 points. He's been extremely effective. I believe that they should play him more, and maybe take one of the guys which is higher up on that list which we're talking about, and move him down. Derrick Jones, trash. Daniel Gafford has been good. Kyrie Irving, trash. PJ Washington, decent. And Luka has been trying to do everything, but he can't even shoot free throws. He's shot 46% on free throws attempts, and he would have probably won them game 2 if he would have hit at least a decent amount of his free throws. I do believe that this cannot be placed on Luka's shoulders. What he's doing on offense is honestly crazy, and the fact that the Celtics have tried to stop him in every way possible, and they haven't, is insane. In terms of points, Luka has led both games and has been the best player. And I just believe that now for Mavericks is, look, you're going back home. Tonight's game is in Dallas. If you can steal a game, you still have a chance to win this series. But if you let this game go, there's no way you are winning this series. No one ever comes back down from 3-0, and Luka is not LeBron. And I don't think that neither LeBron can come back from a 3-0. Maybe in his prime, but right now, no. Now, you have to win one game. It's just this game, you have to win it. Maybe after the fact, you can focus on the next game, and that will be better because you'll be in a better situation. But right now, focus on winning one game. If you fall 3-0, then that's it. You're cooked. You're finished. You can't even have a chance of winning, and you won't be able to come back from that if you actually go through with not winning a game. So this is not to Luka, because I guarantee you Luka's going to play his ass off, even if he misses the free throws, and even if he shoots terribly, he's going to play his ass off, and he's going to try to win his game. But to Kyrie, to Derrick Jones Jr., and to all of the other guys which are not playing effectively, Get your game up, because if not, then this is going to be an easy series for Boston like they've had all playoffs.